Good evening. Coulter Pollock. I am the chairperson for Summit Housing Authority. I live at 25 Nob Hill Drive, and anecdotally have been here since 2002. And any questions that come up after I give a brief presentation, hi Mary.
Hi.
I will have my esteemed executive director jump in and help. You know, we're unique in the sense that we are an autonomous entity within the city, although we do have partnerships with you all. And we also, I think that as Joe had said, this is unique for our authority in the state. We have a council liaison, which in general, I think we are the only authority with a council liaison partnership. One of the few, but which is a wonderful thing because it allows for you all to get some regular feedback about what's going on with the authority and what we're doing. Just some baseline notes about what we do and what we have going on with our properties. Glenwood Place, we have 3 properties actually. Glenwood has 40 units. Weaver Street has 30 units, and these are part of where our families live, and the units there are anywhere from 1 to 4 person. And then Chestnut, which is 125 units, and those are 1 to 2 bedroom that we offer. In terms of those partnerships that I mentioned, we are the acting agent for the City of Summit's affordable housing. So we do handle for you all the wait lists and the marketing of any units that come up as landlords bring them to us, and then we bring them to you for approval. We are also the coordinator for the community development block grants, and in that function we handle the applications. We also deal with the public meetings that happen once a year, and then of course the submission of applications to you all for approval before they get sent to the county. In terms of the staffing, we have 4 full-time employees in our office. We have 2 full-time maintenance men who operate out of Weaver Street and Glenwood. And we have a part-time, what we call porter, who functions really, his role is at Chestnut to make sure things are operating from a janitorial perspective. And then we have a part-time social worker who is provided through Overlook. So in terms of full-time employees, it's 6 total. The wait lists are open for all of our properties. We have 321 applications for senior housing, and it's about a 2 to 3 year wait. And with our family housing, we have 866 applications, and it's approximately 7 to 10 years there. Some services that we provide additionally to the community within our within the housing, basically. We have a congregant lunch program, and that is funded by the Department of Community Affairs. It's about a $35,000 grant that we receive. It is a pay as what you can afford, so it's on a sliding scale. This is for our seniors at Chestnut. And we also operate a cafe, which is not new, but it's recently reopened. It's been reopened since September. And meals are provided there for breakfast and for dinner. They pay about $250 a month in rent. The seniors seem to love it because she's a very good cook, and they have access, especially as Joe and I were talking about, as the weather starts to turn and they have less of an inclination to get out there. We expect that to continue to provide them with some good meals. Joe also hosts Mother's Day, a tea event, a summer barbecue, a holiday luncheon, and then there's a Halloween, what we call a Halloween giveaway. So these are all just events where Joe's team and those of us on the board who can attend can interact with the people within the properties. In terms of capital improvements that we've been working on, some things that we have finished are putting a new roof on Chestnut, which is the senior center. We've replaced windows and a stairwell at Weaver Street, and we've converted 30 of our bathtubs at Chestnut into walk-in showers. That was funded in part by one of our grants that came through. The total bill on that was $146,000, but we got $30,000 from the community development grant, so that was a nice little plus. Future capital improvements that we're looking to execute, we'd like to do the same thing at Glenwood Place in terms of the windows and the stairwells. We're also looking to add a new boiler and some wall units for heating. We are also, this is hopefully it should be a cost-saving initiative, adding motion sensor LED lights at Chestnut. Currently, the lights are on 24/7, and obviously, if they're motion activated, they'll only come on when somebody's in the stairwells. And yeah, we're going to try and do another 30 bathtub conversions to the walk-in showers.
Okay.
Any
Thank
questions?
you. Yeah, I want to open it up. Does anybody have questions? Well, let me start, and maybe it probably for Joe rather than Hugh Coulter, but I'm happy to see who wants to answer.
Sure.
So I had the opportunity actually recently for reasons that are obvious to go walking around a fair amount of the town, and including the fact that since being in Ward 1, I walked through Glenwood and Weaver, literally to every single apartment in both of those sets of units. Couple of things that I noticed in my walk was I think there's issues dealing with how they look outside. There's there's rust on banisters. There needs to be painting. There needs to be maintenance of steps. There's cracks. The lighting, I think, in some of those places aren't that great. I mean, I walked in the evening, and some of the places it's really hard to see. There's like yellow lighting. It's very hard to see anything there. What's the maintenance schedule? What's the painting schedule? What are we doing with lighting?
Where are we talking, Mr. President?
Glenwood and Weaver.
Well, on Glenwood Place.
Why don't you come up, Joe? Come on
No
up.
problem. Thanks. Good evening, everybody. Glenwood is obviously our most challenging development, and it's the oldest. And we have a progressive plan in place now in order to do 3 major projects there. The staircases, if you might have noticed, some of them are rotting away, those steel staircases, just from age of salt, wind, weather, whatever it might be. The windows there are these slider windows that are really unproductive for air circulation. The air conditioners have to be cut into a metal panel that's underneath the window placement. Not a good idea. We had a similar situation like this at Weaver Street, and we were able to replace those windows there with double hung windows. And we're going to do the same thing at Glenwood. That's within the next 12 months we're hoping to do all of this. And then the heating units over at Glenwood are reaching a useful life. And they're individual heating boilers with baseboard heating. So, so those are the things that we're going to address immediately.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. So,
That's right.
So with regard to the staircases at Glenwood, within the next 12 months, they're going to be replaced?
They're going to be replaced.
Okay.
Right, they're
Okay.
going to be replaced, the windows will be replaced, and the heating units will be replaced there. Those are the 3 major projects where we're going to partner again with the city in regards to using some of their rental rehabilitation monies. You may recall that about 2 years ago, we had the same partnership that we did over at Weaver Street, where we did a staircase in one particular building there that was rotting out, and we did new windows over there. And we partnered with the city. It was about $470,000 worth of improvements. The city allocated $300,000 worth of rental rehabilitation money. I've been working with Paul in order to put together another application, which I've submitted to him already, for $400,000 to use out of that funding for Glenwood Place. These 3 projects are going to come in at about $750,000. So the city will contribute $400,000. We'll pay off the rest, and then the city gets the allocation of being at COA credit for spending that particular monies, because all of our families are eligible under the COA guidelines. So it's a kind of a great partnership. It's a reimbursement program. The Housing Authority handles all the procurement, all the bidding process, all the construction oversight. We pay the contractor, and then the city reimburses us up to the $400,000 level.
And so, I'm sorry, so just to make sure also, so Glenwood Place, you said for Weaver you did 1 set of staircases? Because there's
Right,
multiple
the other
apartments.
ones are.
Right, right. No, but for Glenwood, you're doing all of them or just one?
We're going to have to do all of them.
Okay.
You would have to do all of them, because those are more exposed, and some of them are really, we've been welding them together
Right.
to keep them going. They're safe at this point, but they're not going to last forever.
What about like painting and lighting at Weaver?
Well, the lighting has just been done. I don't know when the last time you were there.
I was there 3 weeks ago.
Well,
4
then
weeks
you
ago.
didn't, you weren't there earlier when the lighting was much worse.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm sorry to say, but part of our rehabilitation project, we converted our funding mechanism at the Housing Authority. I don't want to belabor you too much with this,
That's
but
okay. We're here.
we converted our funding mechanism under a new program that the HUD has called RAD, Rental Assistance Demonstration. And part of it was to do rehabilitation work once we got the projects approved. We had the application approved, we converted the first of the year. In the first year component, we're doing the rehab work. The rehab work really entailed mostly LED efficient lighting. So at Glenwood Place and at Weaver, we've already completed installing the exterior lighting.
Oh, okay.
So the old dim yellow lights that were there before are much improved at this point.
I'm pretty sure that I saw some yellow lights then.
So,
But-
so they shouldn't be there.
Okay.
Those were done, and that's, as we mentioned about, as Coulter mentioned about the interior lighting at Chestnut, that's part of that same component,
Right.
to do LED sensor motion
Is there a
sensing.
way also, just sorry, Matt, let me just finish this. Is there also a schedule for painting? I mean, some of the places, I think if you brightened up the colors, they would look much nicer. Is there?
There is, but it's, I mean, very candidly, it's after the capital improvements are gonna be completed, because the windows and the staircases and the heating units really take more priority than the painting at this point. Because we're gonna be coming through there with all types of equipment, in and out of people's apartments. Once those projects are completed, then we're gonna be painting doors and stairwells and ceilings. And you may see the undercarriage at Weaver Street. Some of those steel things need to be painted over. That's going to be after all those capital improvements are
And
complete.
then my last question before I'll turn it over to other folks. I noticed that some folks, it seemed, at least on the Weaver Street, that maybe they were using, where they were, their apartment was on the ground floor, they were having a little like garden or try to kind of a quasi-garden space. Is it possible for people to do that? I mean, like, it would be really good, I would imagine, if people had a little, can they get a little area to garden if they wanted to? Is that offered to them?
It's available to them. I don't know that a lot of people take advantage of it.
Okay, but-
Glenwood has more of the issue where people have all their patio stuff and everything out in those little alcove areas.
Right.
And they don't have very much storage space over there.
Yes.
And to be very candid with you, sometimes it can be unsightly. And I don't really take such a heavy hand on that situation, because they really have no place else to put their stuff.
Right.
And when the weather's nice and you want to put out a patio table or a grill or something like that, they're storing it underneath the stairwells.
There's no place for a storage locker?
There is
being
no
sold?
room over there for that. And that's pretty tight, that site, very tight.
Okay.
At Weaver, it's a little different, because they do have individual storage units that they can store stuff in, but Glenwood doesn't have that. It wasn't constructed that way.
Thank you. I just had a follow-up question, comment about the lighting at Glenwood. I was there first weekend in November. In the daytime, I had to use my flashlight to get up the stairs. So I don't know if you redid the lights, and is it that they're going out again, or is it that perhaps residents or people are putting them out? But what could we do about that? I felt very, it's like from a tripping perspective, very unsafe going up the stairs.
Well, they're on sensors, so the sensor should come on if it's something that we have to look at again. The sensors are set to come on at a certain dusk time.
No, I mean, this was in
But
the
if it was,
daytime. What I'm
if
saying
it's in the daytime and it's a cloudy day,
it's
they
like
should come
11
on.
in
So-
the morning.
No, they should come on, so it could
But
be
it-
definitely an issue that we have
They
to
were
look
definitely
at.
not on.
Well, then if they're not
So-
on, that's wrong, because they should be.
It
They
was,
should-
to me, that's the number one issue, the lighting issue, because it's dangerous, I feel, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of little kids.
The lighting's really a lot better than it used to be, but
Well,
if it's not
cold
coming on,
comfort.
that's a
But
problem.
that seems like a low bar, right? So I
Well-
mean, we can't go with, this was really bad, and now it's better than bad.
Well, we did LED lightings, the best LED lighting that we could get there, yeah.
No, I just think maybe it's not on. Or
Maybe
it's
it's
not
not-
going on.
maybe
so
the
maybe the
sensor's not-
sensors aren't the way to. Every time I've my own personal, I know it works for a lot of people. When I've taken all the sensor lights out of my house and replaced them with switches because they don't do what I want them to do. So, and not that I'm a genius, but I think.
I don't know that I would particularly do switches, but I could look at the sensors
Well,
for
yeah,
sure.
it could be whatever it is. I mean, maybe there needs to be some lighting on all the time, is what
Yeah,
I'm saying,
yeah.
because in the
Could be.
daytime it's
Yeah.
equally dark on some of those stairwells.
Yeah.
I have just a few things, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Mayor.
You have 7 to 10 year, Coulter said a 7 to 10 year wait for the family units.
Family units.
Is that any different, that time period, for Summit residents versus non-residents?
Summit residents have a preference.
Correct. And what is the wait
Absolutely.
list for Summit residents in the family units?
That would be their waiting period.
7 to 10 for
That's the
Summit
waiting
residents.
period, because we gauge it based on the preferences. Someone who's from out of town who's on the waiting list has a very difficult time to ever get in.
Got it, okay. And then just out of, how often does the Housing Authority Board meet?
The board meets monthly.
And do they meet sometimes in the premises at the various
They do.
locations?
They meet generally here in the Whitman Room, is
Uh-huh.
like their main shop.
Right.
They meet twice a year at the Gallo Building,
Right.
once a year at Weaver Street, and once a year at Glenwood Place.
And residents are given a lot of notice so that they can come to the
Notice
meetings
is
if they like?
published, residents are entitled to come, invited.
Good.
Yeah.
And then, you said, I think you said you have, for the 125 units at the Gallo Building at
Mm-hmm.
the Chestnut Street, that you have one part-time maintenance guy. Does that seem like enough to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
enough.
Really?
It's enough, yeah.
I have heard lots of things, lots of residents who say that they don't think so. So I'm just throwing it out there. Garbage, that kind of stuff.
It's-
I've spent time with some of the seniors recently and in the last year,
Hmm.
and with good groups of them, large groups of them, and that seems to be the overwhelming unanimous, not a fair word, the overwhelming concern. There's just not enough maintenance with garbage,
Well,
with cleaning the
We think it's
floors,
enough at
with
this
whatever.
point. I mean, it's been working out for us. We've
Uh-huh.
been, emptying compactors twice a day because we had some issues there. The gentleman, we hired a new gentleman about a year and a half ago.
Okay,
And very candidly, I will say the gentleman that we had to let go was really a neat freak and probably did a lot heavier cleaning, but had other issues.
Right.
So there was a reason for us to release him.
sure.
And this new gentleman has been fine, and I think it's working out pretty good.
But fine, not so much a neat freak. Maybe we should look for someone who's better than fine.
Well, maybe we could look for that.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Anybody else?
Mayor, just to say, our meeting's tomorrow for the month of November, so we'll talk about these issues. I think we're meeting in the Whitman.
We're meeting here tomorrow at 7.
So
Not at the Gallo Center, because I was told by some of the residents over there, they think it's at the Gallo Center tomorrow night.
No, it's here.
Okay, can you maybe put out a notice or something over there?
We
Because
did.
I saw a bunch of them yesterday for about an hour and a half,
Oh.
and they all thought that the meeting was over there
No,
tomorrow
the
night.
December meeting is traditionally over there.
All right, well,
the
you know
Nov-
what, they get.
The November meeting is here.
Okay, there's some confusion. Perhaps you can have someone in your staff put
We
a
did
sign on the door.
flyers Friday to say that it was over, because we had to change the date.
That's right, they thought it was on the 28th, and
Right.
instead they switched it,
We
they
had to
told me
change
that
it.
it was 28th to the 20th.
Was the
but
20
The
They think it's
25
over
or
there.
so that I saw yesterday think that, no, Saturday, I mean, think that it's there tomorrow night.
Oh, it's not there, it's here.
So perhaps someone can put a notice up there in the tomorrow
We
morning
can
and
do
let them know.
something tomorrow morning.
Sure, okay,
Sure.
thank you.
The more participation, the better.
So you're gonna have a meeting at the Gallo Building in December. You had one already at Chestnut, and you had one
Well, the
already.
Gallo Building is Chestnut.
I'm sorry, that's
That's
Chestnut.
okay.
You already had one at Glenwood, and you had one at Weaver? both of
Correct.
them?
That's correct. We've had that already this year. We had one at Chestnut, I think it was the March meeting, and then we generally had the December meeting there.
What-
Usually it's about two to three residents will show up.
Right. What's the date of the December meeting?
19th.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Any questions from members of the public? Okay, that's it. Thank
Great.
you, gentlemen.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.